Hello and welcome to this video whereby we will be exploring the Sarufi API. My name is Fuad. Most of you know me as Avi, and let's get right into it. So the documentation of the Sarufi API can be located at neurotech-africa.stoplight.io /docs/Sarufi. Of course, this link will be provided in the description and all other links. And here you'll see all the endpoints which are used to make calls to the Sarufi platform or the Sarufi backend. And this is how it's another option of actually integrating Sarufi to your application. So maybe like a little backstory and why I'm actually making this video. So as we know, there are two ways to build bots with Sarufi, right? So you can either use the no-code platform, which is available here, sarufi.io. So you can use this, just go here over dashboard, and you want to create a new chatbot, so on and so forth. Everybody knows this. Oh, a number of you already know this, okay? But another option is that you make a program yourself. So like, let's say you have your own custom application, okay? And you want to use Sarufi in your application. So how do you go about it? There are two ways to go about that. The first way is that you use an SDK, okay? And all SDKs are found here, docs.sarufi.io. So as you can see, there's a Python SDK, there's a JavaScript Node.js, there's a Golang SDK, PHP, and Dart. Hopefully, there are more SDKs to come. But what if there isn't an SDK in a language that you use? Or what if you don't want to use the SDK, you want to make the calls yourself, you're hardcore, you don't want to use any library. So how do you go about this? Then you have to access the Sarufi API itself. And I'll be just explaining the different endpoints, and I'll be using Postman to call these endpoints. Okay. So the first one is the index, and all URLs or all API calls will be made to this URL. So let me just copy it here. You paste and go. And yes, so all calls will be made to this URL. And as you can see, welcome to Sarufi API. Please refer to the documentation for more information. What you need to do, get your API keys from the dashboard to start using the API. And where exactly in the dashboard? You go to your profile, you go to authorization, view credentials, and then you just copy it. Simple as that, and that will be your bearer token key. So this is the index. I don't think you need any authorization for that. There is some introduction. You can go through it at your own time. So let's go. Let's get started. Okay. So get the API key for the logged in user. All right. So what's the endpoint for this? Get developers sarufi.io /API/API key. So as I said, I'll be using Postman to make these calls. I have already created a new blank workspace, which I'll be using for all my tutorials. So yeah, let me just create a collection, and I'll name this collection, yeah, Exploring Sarufi API, like that. And we'll make our first request. Okay, so the first request is get token. So as a, by the way, I haven't really gone through all these endpoints, so to be more of a learning for all of us. And even though I have made the Golang SDK and I have accessed it, there have been some updates, and yeah, it's always good to see the changes and so on and so forth. So the URL, okay, let me. So URL is Sarufi /API key. I think we do need to the authorized to make this call. Let's see. missing bearer token. So as you can see, we can't make any requests because we don't have the authorization token. So what I'll do is, to make things easier, I will create a new here on Postman. So there's a tab called authorization, okay, and then we'll set the bearer token, okay, and the token itself is the token we have from our profile. So we'll just go over here, copy this, and then I'll paste it here. So that will be my token. Of course, you can see it now, but I will definitely change it after once I complete this video. Okay, so if we make also here on the authorization, make sure that inherit auth from parent is selected, so that way you don't have to manually make or place the bearer token. Otherwise, if we didn't use that option, then you just have to, like, select here and then put the token over here. But then you'd have to do this for every request, and that's kind of time consuming. It's unnecessary. So once you make a request again, it will say malform token. Okay, so I think this endpoint is for the previous versions. I'm not sure, but let's go to something like get profile. Okay, so get Sarufi dot like this. Add a request, get profile. I do apologize if you can hear the chicken in the background. We are talking iftari badai, so yeah, I hope it's not going to be much of a distraction. So if I make a request here, cool. So we do get a response. Okay, so I have my ID, and this is actually my ID. If we go to the dashboard, sure, okay, it won't display my ID, but let's see. Yeah, all in all, this is your user ID. Okay, once you make so on and so forth, you will actually see this in play. Next endpoint is the endpoint to create a chatbot. Okay, so creates your chatbot and adds a task to train a machine learning model for the chatbot in the background. Okay, so these are the fields we need in the chatbot. Okay, so there's like an ID integer. I think this will be generated automatically. It should be. Then there is the bot type. Okay, so so this here is the request. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just copy this example over here, and then we will modify it as we need. So let me add a new request now. Here, add request. There should be a shortcut for making these new requests. So create chatbot, and this should be a post request. Okay, so it's a post request. Okay, so I'll change this to post, and this is the URL. I'll copy it. Okay, and yeah, I'll paste it over here. So our body will select JSON since that's what it accepts. My bad. Let me come over here and copy this again. Like that. And yeah, let's see what we get. Fallback message. Yeah, just remove it so I don't get an error. So ID, I think this should be available by default. User ID, this should be available by default. So you know what, I'll only use two fields, name, description. Yeah, I'll only use name and description. Okay, all these other fields should be set for us automatically. So I'll just delete all of this and let's see what we get. Yes, so as you can see, we do get an actual response. So this is our bot, okay? So evaluation matrix, confidence threshold, when it was updated, as you can see, it's just like a few moments ago. Obviously, this is GMT time zone. Industry general, some fields were set automatically, okay? So ID, the bot ID is 2302. The language is English, visible on community, true. Then there are some default values being set for us, okay? So like there are flows. As you get, if you want to know what flows are and what intents are, I recommend going through this documentation here. So there's a part where it says getting started, basic concepts and terminologies. So here you'll see, okay, what are intents, what are, flows, and you'll get to understand it more. So I won't really dive into this terminologies and stuff like that. I think once you're free, just go and, go through them. I'll just be exploring the actual API itself. So the flows are set for us. So there's like greeting message, greeting, which is like, hello, you're welcome. So this is like the default responses once it's greeted, okay? Thank you. Well, if it's, how does it reply? If it's been thanked, or, someone says goodbye, then how does it respond? So here on the intents, as you can see, there's like greetings, yeah? So hello, how are you? You good? How's your day? So if anybody initiates a message with these words, then it will respond with either hello, you're welcome, or just hello. Same goes for thanks. Okay, so thank you, God bless you, thanks a lot, and so on. Then it will respond with one of these messages. Same goes with bye. If someone messages the bot with one of these, then it will respond with welcome again, have a nice day. Okay, so these are like the default ones, and obviously you can change them, and we will change them as we update the bots. So over here we have the field of our bot, which we didn't change, it's still our bot name. There's some data URLs, which I think these are for the PDFs. There's a description of the bot, which we haven't really described it, but we'll update, and this is the model name. Okay, so let's go to our next endpoint, which is get chatbot. Okay, so this is a get request developers Sarufi.io chatbot ID. Okay, so let me just copy this here like that. Then I will make a new request, which will be get chatbot. So as you can see, there's a chatbot ID. Okay, and our chatbot ID, we received it in our response, which is over here, 2302. So I can just copy this. Also, we do have the user ID. So you remember when we made the get request to our profile, we had our ID 351. So this is our user ID 351, and this is the chatbot ID. Okay, so I'll just remove this placeholder and place the ID of our chatbot. Okay, so if you make a send get request, we will get our chatbot. Okay, so this is the ID of the chatbot, the bot's name, user ID. So user ID 351, username, that's my username now, Avicenna, visible in the community, true, and here are the flows and intents as I described earlier. And there's some other fields, evaluation metrics, language, webhook trigger, confidence thresholds, model name. So yeah, okay, so I feel like it should start to make sense. Yes. So we'll go to our next request, which is updating the chatbot. So as you saw, we just really didn't name our chatbot or provide any kind of description. So what we can do is we will update it. Okay, we'll fill in some more, reasonable information. Okay, so what I'll do is so since we have the body of the chatbot, okay, it's more or less consistent. So it's like a bot type, if you might say, or a struct. So you can, I think you can modify almost any of these fields. So what I'll do is add a new request. I'll call this request update chatbot. And here on the body, go to row, it should be JSON, and I'll paste it. Okay. And as for the actual request, so this is a put request and chatbot, and we'll definitely need to have our chatbot ID. So go over here quickly and just paste this. Let me delete it here. So I think it was 2302. Is that correct? Yeah, it's 2302. And okay, ID, I think that's, you can't really change that. User ID, it's my user ID. I cannot change that. I'll have to name. Okay, so like let's say my name is not my name, but the bot's name. So I'll say this is exploring bot. Since we're exploring the API, I'll just call this exploring bot. Okay. And on the description, I'll say a bot to explore the Sarufi API, like that. Intents, so you can leave it empty if you want to, delete all the other intents, but for now I think the default ones should stay. The data URLs, these are for the models. Okay, so as you know, you can train a bot for, with knowledge base or with, okay, my apologies. You can create a bot from knowledge base or from scratch, right? Now on the knowledge base, you can actually upload PDFs or document markdown files, CSV files, and so on. You can also provide a link, and in the API call, you actually do this over here. Okay, so that URLs like that. And on the model name, here is, as you can see, what was given here. So this is like the default model. So usually this will be filled in if a bot is being made from scratch. Okay, but if you're using, like, let's say a GPT-4 bot or a GPT-3 bot, then that will just be an empty string. So for now, I'll just I'll delete this, and I'll also delete this. These other values, not entirely sure. Industry, I'll say technology. Evaluation metrics, I think these will be filled automatically. And the language, I'll leave it as English. Visible on the community, let's set it to false for now. And then webhook URL, if you have a webhook on your application and you want it to be triggered, so you can place it here. The trigger intent, so as you can tell, so we have like intents right over here. So we have the intents. So if you receive, say trigger intent is like greetings. So if you receive the message which is about greeting, okay, then you'll place it here, right? So whenever someone says hi, how are you, hello, whatever, then this will be the trigger intent, and it will send that information to your webhook URL. Okay, so it's like a callback feature. It's pretty neat, allows you a lot of flexibility. Okay, and then index as fallback. I'm not entirely sure as what this does, but let's see. I think it's the option whereby you can allow the GPT 3.5 to be the default response in case someone asks something which is out of what you had displayed. So like let's say we have three intents. We have the greetings, goodbye, and thank you intents. So like let's say someone asks something entirely different, then you can either use GPT-3 for the response, whereby if you set this to true, we can give it a try and say this, or we can also provide a fallback message and say, sorry, I didn't get that. Okay, so I'll leave both of these and we'll see how it works. Since I don't have any webhook, I'll delete this too. And if we do make the request, yeah, okay, so it's telling us 200 okay, but for some reason it hasn't changed. I'm not sure why. English, fallback. Okay, so let me just perhaps remove this and let's see. If we go over here and make a get request to our bot, we are getting the same response. Oh, my bad. So what I was doing is I was making a get request instead of a put request. Okay, so watch out for that. Okay, once you make a put request, we get our response, and we can see things have changed. Okay, so updated, now it has been updated, and industry, technology, bot type, role. Okay, not entirely sure. I think this field has been added recently. Visible on community, false. So yes, I put it to false. Initially it was true. Okay. uh Flows, we still have the same flows, and we also same user ID. Didn't update the webhook URL. There are the intents provided. Okay. The name, we set it as exploring bot. So yes, exploring bot here. Index as fallback, true. Okay, fallback message. So yeah, it is working well. By the way, you can also test it. So let me go here, home dashboard. If I refresh this, our bot should be here, the one I just made, exploring bot. And we can test it, we can communicate with it. So I can say, hi, you're welcome. So as you remember here, the responses. So you can either respond with hello, you're welcome, or hello. So we'll update this and then you can see, but so that's where it gets the response from. So let me ask something entirely different. So I'll say cuckoo. All right. Don't ask me why. I'm just sending that. Okay, so I understand now. So the index as fallback actually so since the index of the bot, so the index, what does that mean? It's the first intent of the bot. Okay, so usually it's the greeting intent. That's the usual index one. So let me set this to false and then update this, and let's see what response do I get. So let me refresh. I don't think this is necessary to refresh, but just to make sure, I will say hi, hello, you're welcome. Then I'll say cuckoo. Okay, what does the earth do? Bye. Have a nice day. Okay, so I'll have to definitely revisit this, and I'll probably provide more explanation about this in the description. But the fallback message should be triggered also. So I think since we really haven't modified our bot much, that's why we aren't getting the desired responses. So let me just do this. Yeah, so it will always, if it doesn't know uh, what to respond with, it will just respond with a greeting intent, since usually greeting is the first intent. And okay, so we do have our items here, right? So let's just update them, and let me see, is there a special endpoint for intents? So we do have a delete chatbots, update GPT index. So we'll go through all of this: fetch intents, fetch flow, conversations, and yeah, okay. So for updating, I think we'll have to use the put chatbot. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this intents like that, and then I'll paste it here, and then we'll modify. Okay, so I'll say greetings. I'll just say, yeah, okay, we'll leave it as greeting. So it will only respond to hello and nothing else. I'm just doing this so that, to prevent cluttering, and these are just for demonstration purposes. Okay, like that. Okay. So yeah, so our intents are greeting, hello, thanks. So let's modify it, okay? So I'll say salamu. Yeah, let's say salamu, okay. And then here I'll change it to Swahili. Thanks. I'll just say shukrani. Salamu. I'll just say mambo vipi. Okay. How do you say bye in Swahili? Kwaheri. Kwaheri. So I'll just be like shukrani. We'll say asante sana. So since we update the intents, obviously we will get an error if we don't update the flows also. So I'll do this, just copy, and then flows, I'll say salamu. So yeah, tajibu with shikamo. Why not? And then over here, so okay, so the next state should be end, right? Like that. Next state should be end like this. And thanks, shukrani. Message, nashukuru pia. And the next state will be end, of course. And finally, I'll say bye. So, kwaheri. And karibu sana, right? So yeah, just something simple for demonstration purposes. So this is how you update the intents and the flows. And if I were to put this again, send the put request, I mean. So, okay, we get our response 200. Okay, so I'll go back to our bot, close this. So if I were to say hi, it says failed to fetch response from GPT-3. So let me see what field did I do. Okay, so as you can see, index as fallback, it does actually fetch from GPT-3, but probably some errors in the background. um, I don't know, shouldn't be an issue. But if we do send a request or send a message which we have predefined, so if I say like Mambo, okay, Mambo VP, Mambo VP shikamo, right? So nikituma asante, nashukuru pia. So nikisema kwaheri, did I define that? No. So what was the message for kwaheri? Siku njema. If I say siku njema, karibu sana. So this should be whenever someone messages the bot with a message which is not defined in our intents and flows, then it should go to GPT-3. It will process the message and provide. Yeah, but usually that's how it will work. And yeah, so this is how you update the bot. Anything that needs to be updated, it will be updated. So I'll just change this to true, visible on community true. And what does this mean? So this means that it will be visible in the playground. So where is the playground? The playground is, let me just go here, home, resources, community. So yeah, so this is the playground, and your bot will be accessible by everyone else. Okay, I think it's just loading. And yeah, so here, exploding bot. If my bot, as you can see here, you can see it and you can even try it, right? So if you try and be like Asante, nashukuru pia, right? And then if I say something, it probably won't respond with the same error, but it's our bot. If I set this to false, let me come over here and set this to false. And go back here and then refresh. It will take a minute to update, but it shouldn't be there. Yeah, so it updated and it's no longer defined. So if I refresh again, I think this is just some Firefox catch, but let's say, let me open a private window. Okay, so bots by Vicina, here if I try to fetch, it should update, but I'm not sure why it didn't. Visible community false. Yeah, it does. It should take like around a minute or so for it to get removed from there. But well, no big deal. We'll try it again later. Let's go to our next request, which will be to delete a chatbot. So deleting a chatbot, it's very easy. Just developers your chatbot. You put the ID of your bot, which for our case is 2302, and make the delete request. So over here you just put delete, send the same URL, and it will completely delete our bot. But since I'm using this for examples, I will not be deleting it. And the next request is going to be get all chatbots. So this, I'll just copy this. It will give you, it will list all the chatbots you have created. So let me just add the request, get all chatbots. paste it here, and then I'll make the request. So as you can see, I do have quite a number of bots. So there's this. This is my first bot going all the way down here. And actually, so there are quite a number of bots here. Okay, so this is 250, 2052, 2051, 2013, 1723, 1973. So all these are different bots which I use for my own purposes, others for clients. Okay, that shouldn't be complicated. And we do have the GPT index for a chatbot. Okay, so the idea of the chatbot to update current users to gets the GPT index for a particular chatbot. Now let me just copy this and see what it responds. Yeah, so I'll just add the request here. Get GPT index like that. So I will say 205 2302, I think. I go QA temperature, now temperature 0.0, max tokens 512, memory. So okay, so I do have bots which I do have bots that are using, the knowledge base one. So actually you can even compare, So as you can see, our regular bot, it has a mouthful of fields: ID, name, description, user ID, username, visible in community, flows, all that good stuff. But if I replace it with a GPT kind of bot, or an open, not necessarily GPT, but Llama, Falcon, those kinds of bots, then I will get this kind of refined response. Okay, so it's just a name, description, industry, user ID, username, visible in community, bot type. Oh, okay. So here is the GPT index based, and our initial bot. So let me just undo this here. So the bot type over here is where is the bot type field? Name, industry, username, floors. Okay, so I think that field isn't available when you okay. So if it's a bot whereby you're building from scratch, you'll see the model name and the actual model, since you'll be training the model yourself. Okay, and if you are using a GPT based bot, then you'll see here that it's a GPT index based. So there won't be any model, model field, but there will be a bot type field. Actually, I will make a request to the developer so that this bot type field will exist for both kinds of bot. But I did see when we were creating, there was a field for bot which was called rule. If I'm not, yani the bot type was rule, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's over here. So as you can see, the bot type is actually rule for the what do you call this? The bots made from scratch. And for the bots that are GPT based, they need to indicate GPT index bot. And there should be in the future maybe Llama based bots or Falcon based bots. So I hope that does make sense. I'm not sure. So you will see this once you create a chatbot, right? But for some reason we aren't seeing this here. Or maybe I didn't see it, so let me try it one more time. So ID, name, description, user ID, username, flows, intents, valuation metrics, right, model type, status, and all these classifiers, okay, and language Swahili, webhook URL, confidence threshold, index as fallback true, fallback message. Okay, now why don't I set this to false? So let me do this. Let me update and set this to false and see if that changes anything. Confidence threshold, that bot type rule. Okay, so we do have the bot type rule over there. So I'm just experimenting. Let's see if we also get that field here. Yeah, we do get the field here. So I'm not sure why when we get the actual bot, we aren't seeing that bot type field, but it does exist. So in the back of your mind, do know that I think this is a bug which we will definitely fix. But yeah, for bots made from scratch, the bot type is raw, and for GPT-based bots, then the bot type is GPT index. Okay, so I'll set the index as fallback to false, and our fallback message should be sorry I didn't get that. Actually, let's just try this out quickly. So if I say cuckoo, sorry I didn't get that. I think this is much better version. Yeah, so index as fallback, it will call GPT-3. If not, then it will just use this fallback message. So yeah, I think this we are getting somewhere, right? So if I were to 1723 get the GPT index of this spot, 1723, then okay, so it will provide, this is the description I provided. This is the prompt which I provided when I was creating the chatbot. So basically this is just, if we go to the platform, all boss, Avi resume, I think it's over here. Yeah, it's over here. And as you can see, take on the role of a helpful chatbot, blah, blah, blah. So this is this, okay? And then temperature, that one, max tokens, memory. I actually want the memory to be true. I don't know why it didn't set that. So, okay, I'll allow this here. And then let's see if I make a request again. As you can see, memory is true. So this will give you the details of your GPT index based bots. So our next request that we will be viewing is the update GPT index. So the body, it contains the bot ID vector. You can change the prompt, the default prompting, as I showed you the other. Yeah, you can change this. That's actually what I'll do. And actually, let's just make the request as usual. So I'll just copy this, and Postman, I'll create a new request. So it will be update GPT index, like that, and paste this. And since I want to change this bot, the Avicenna resume bot, because this is the one which is using GPT, I'll just use its ID, which is 1723. And on the body, I'll just copy here. So I think all these fields are optional, and you can just fill in the data that you want. Okay, so yeah, so I'll say, so I'll just change a few fields for demonstrative purposes. So allow memory, here it is true, so I'll turn it to false. Max token, I'll change this to maybe 1024. I'll also change the prompt, and I'll also change the temperature, which here is 0.5. So let's do that. I don't think we'll need to, use the ID. And I also don't think we'll need to use the bot ID since it's already indicated. And as for vectors, let's see what is vectors. Okay, so I'm not entirely sure what vectors stand for, so I'll just remove that. And then as for the prompt, what I'll do is I'll just copy this and then modify it a little bit. So I'll just copy this, paste it here. Then take the role of a helpful chatbot. So instead of saying take a role, I'll just say you are a helpful chatbot. So slight modification, yes. So I'll say you are a helpful chatbot, so on and so forth. Max token, as I said, it will be 1024. The temperature, I'll change it to 0.2 this time. And memory, as I said, I'll leave it as false. The request here should be put. Let me just confirm. Yes, it is put. So, okay, making the request. Value bot ID. Oh, okay. So we definitely have to fill in the bot ID. So I'll just put bot ID, which is 1723. Then if I make the request again, okay, so it updates. Yeah, helpful chatbot. And if we go over here, so let's take on the role of a helpful chatbot. 512 0.5 memory is allowed. If I refresh this page, then as you can see, it's you are a helpful chatbot. Max token is 1024, 0.2, and memory is turned off. Awesome. So yeah, okay, let's go to the next request. I feel like that's covered. So the next request is handling conversations. So we'll have provide, okay, so handle bot conversation. So basically it's the, you send a message, you get the response. So this, I think this is the endpoint that actually handles it. So I'll just copy this again, create a new request as usual, which is handle conversation, bot conversation, paste the URL. I don't know why it presses enter. Should, no, I think it should be a get. Let's see. No, it's a post. So I put a post over here. So this is the body. So to just make it easy, I will, yeah, copy this. So, oh, okay, actually here, there are some required fields. So you definitely need the chat ID, bot ID, and message. The rest, of course, are optional. So I'll go over here. I do apologize if the background noise is a bit much. Paste it. So I copied an empty line and just go to my clipboard quickly and yeah, paste it here. So as you can tell, so chat ID, bot ID, and message are mandatory. The rest seem optional. Yes, so default. So here the message type is text, but you can have multiple message types, right? You can have like an image message, you can have a video message, so you will define it here. But since we won't be doing that right here, I'll just do those three. Okay, so the chat ID is the unique identifier of the chat. Okay, so usually it's good to make it like a UUID. Okay, so let me just go here. UUID generator, and you can just copy this UUID. Okay, paste, and then the bot ID. So this time I just want it to be, the I've seen a resume bot on the resume bot, talk to the resume bot. So I'll just say hello, and I'll remove this. Send the message, and okay, actions. Hi there. I'm here to answer any questions you may have about Avicenna's resume. Okay. So if we had memory turned on, remember here it was turned off, so we just turn it on quickly. So just say true, send. Okay, so I turned on the memory, and then now if I say, I'll change this slightly so that it's a different chat ID. So I'll be, hello, my name is Fuad, and send it. Hello Fuad, how can I assist you today, right? So I can say, can you tell me my name? Can you tell me what my name is? So if you send the message, your name is Fuad. So as you can tell, it does memorize it because we are in the same chat ID. Now, if I changed this chat ID and then, okay, so instead of 45, it's a different chat ID, right? So if I send a message, your name is Avicenna, so I think it's just taking it from the document. But if it's saying Avicenna because it's from the document, right? Because the name I used in the document is Avicenna. But I can tell it like, okay, no, Avicenna is the name of the, no, Avicenna is the name of the resume owner, right? What is my name? So if I send, we can see the response. Your name is Avicenna. So yeah, it kind of like, it doesn't memorize. So if I go back again, I think it was 4, right? So let me just undo this. So yeah, it was 4. So I can say again, can you tell me what my name is again? Again. And just make it so that it responds as expected. Correct, right? So can you tell me what my name is again? I send it, and it will say your name is Fuad. So all these are different chat IDs. It will be handled differently. And so, for example, in your flow, if you want, the conversations to be memorized even after, someone maybe opens your app or visits your app again. I don't know, maybe if there's a login system and you just want to save that chat, or in WhatsApp, like, with a number, and you want someone to memorize, you want the bot to understand the conversation. So one way of implementing this is the chat ID. Obviously, if you are using WhatsApp, it's probably going to be easier to use the platform here. But just options. Options, feel free to use what's more convenient for you. And then there's also this handle channel conversation. So I feel like this is specific for WhatsApp. I can just copy this, copy. Okay, wait. Handle channel conversation, like that. And this is definitely a post. I'll go to body raw JSON, and I'll just copy the ID. So same thing, chat ID, bot ID, message ID, they're all the same. So let's see what's the difference between the two. So if I paste it and remove the unrequired fields, So yeah, okay, I can just generate a new ID. Don't really have to generate a new ID. You can just name it whatever. But if you want them to be truly unique, then UUID is a good option. So bot ID is 1723. I think this should be a number. Not sure it makes much of a difference, but message. Okay, so let me just try hi. And if it is sent, let's see the response we're getting. Okay, so it's giving us the same response, but this endpoint, I think it's more convenient if you want to hook it with WhatsApp or any other channels, okay? But overall, handle conversation and handle channel conversation are more or less the same. So here you can get the conversation status, okay? So you remember those chat IDs that we were making? Then you can use it to see like, okay, what's going on in those conversations, right? So I'll just copy this instead of copying the entire URL. So I'll just say add request developer Sarufi, and then here should be status, right? And on the body we need two variables, which is bot ID and chat ID. So I'll just do that. Chat ID, which was, if I go back over here, I want this chat ID since we did make some conversation here. And the bot ID, this is 1723. So if I make a request, method not allowed. Okay, which method is allowed? Okay, so it's post. No conversation for bot ID 1723 and chat ID this. So if so I think this is an issue with bots that are, GPT based. So let's try one which isn't GPT based. I think my bot was 2302, and I'll change this to high. So okay, sorry, I didn't get that right. So if I go here, actually I should say get conversation status. So here the bot ID is 2302. Make a request. Current state, start intent stream, next state, and so it will give you the state. So this is for those bots that use intents and flows because they're the ones that actually have states. All right, so let's go to the next request, which is fetching intents. Okay, should be straightforward. It's a get request. So I will make a request developer Sarufi.io, and the URL is intents bot ID. So I'll do that. Intents bot ID is actually. So let's try first with the GPT index and see what we get. Obviously, it doesn't have an intent because it's, GPT index, it doesn't use that system. So, but if I used the other bot, the exploring bot, then we get our intents, and that's what we want, right? So here, get intents. Good. So next request is fetching flows. So it's more or less the same URL, just flow and the bot ID. So I'll just copy this instead, and then I'll modify it later. So add request fetch intent. So I'll paste the URL and write flows instead. If I send it, okay, should be flow, I think. Yeah, so here are our flows. Awesome. So we go to the next request, predict intent. Okay, so I can say, okay, let's just see, right? Predict intent. Predict intent. So, okay, predict intent. Is there field for bot ID? So this is the body. JSON. Okay, so let me just type it out. Bot ID, which is we'll use the regular bot from scratch, and the message hello. So if I send this post send through Shukran, so it can identify the intent of a message. So remember, we use Swahili, so it's trying to basically guess and see, you know. So I could say, okay, Mambo, then it will be like Salam, right? So that's how you can calculate the confidence of a response. And since we are building this from scratch, so also, you know, training it from scratch, which is awesome. Okay. Then you can go to the conversation state. So chat ID, bot ID, next state. All right, so let's just copy this. And this is conversation state. So I'll just add request. Conversation state. And then, so here it's conversation. And this is state. Body row JSON. All right, so chat ID, which conversation was it? It's this. So I'll take this ID and paste it here. So since the one that particularly handles conversation states is the ones from scratch, so I'll use that one instead. And interesting, why do we have a state here? So you know what? Let's see. Let me remove this and see what happens. So it's supposed tunnel server. Interesting. Okay, so let me just do this. Like actually let me undo. Next state and write the expected and next state, which is end. Seems there might be some issue there. So let me try with a different bot. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think there might be a bug at this endpoint, and I'll raise this with the developers. So the next endpoint is getting bot users. So you want to know what people have communicated with your bot, right? So you can just go to this endpoint. Let me copy this. paste, and the chatbot ID. So let me go start with this bot, and yeah, so let's go. Okay, so all these people have communicated with my resume bot, which is quite amazing. I did not expect this because for sure I did not communicate this much, I think. If we go with the other bot, 2302, let's go. And yeah, I can see, oh, so it could actually have been me since this is a new bot and it already has all these chat IDs. Okay, so the request is get bot users, and that will just show you all the chat IDs available, all the conversations available in your bot. So if you go to the next request, get conversation history. So conversation history, bot ID, chat ID. Okay, so let's do that. If I make a new request, get conversation history, paste this. So I'll start with the resume bot 1723, and then the chat ID. Let me find some old. Okay, let's just use this one first. So 929. So which one is the oldest? I think this is the oldest, so I'll use this chat ID instead. And we can see the conversations that has been happening. So I'll just make a get request like that. Conversation history seems empty, so let me use another. Get conversation history. No, this should be 2302. No wonder it was empty. So send. Yeah, okay, so you can see, remember I sent a message, cuckoo, and you're welcome. Hi, you're welcome. So this is the conversation history from me. Like I think we're using the other platform, right, to message. So let's try another conversation history. Let me just copy this. Paste and send it again. Cuckoo, hello. And I did type some random words, and yeah. So yeah, you can get the conversation history of your users. Now let me try with the GPT based one. So get bot users 1723. Okay, so all these conversations. So I'm trying to look for some old one. 22, 27. Okay, so this was around July. This is probably myself. Copy it and then paste it over here. And let's see what we get. Okay, so wow, it does actually list the conversation history, which is awesome, which is cool. So you are able to, as a developer, you can see the conversations that are happening, what kind of questions people are asking. So if you are like, making a customer care bot, right? And you can get some feedback, you can get some insight as into what questions people are asking the most. And you can see how you can tailor, you can see what services people are asking or inquiring about and adapt accordingly. So next endpoint is plugin. So I think this is more of the front end, but add plugin. So yeah, I think this is more on the front end side. So like, let's say by front end, let me give you an example. So like, let's say you want to export the bot, right? So you can go settings, customize bot for your website. So you see these options. There's a plugin settings, right? So enter website URL for this bot, and where you can place your own personal websites if you want. Customize the UI for your bot, right? So you can preview changes, open your bot on the bottom left corner. So okay, so as you can see here, there's like blue, right? So I can modify and select colors. So if I have a particular brand color or whatever, I can easily just customize it, and there are many shades and variations which you can choose from. All right, you can also select the background color, so I can make it like this, for example. It's up to you. It doesn't matter what color you use, provided it goes with your brand, right? And you can make it look like really neat. You can also select the message box background. So I think we can use the green one. Seems a bit neat. Uh, Sent message. So let me just say hi, so you can actually see it, right? Okay, so the sent messages is green, and the received one, you can also modify it a bit. It is light, but we can make it, you know, give it a little tint or something. So let me try this. Let's see how it looks like, Yeah, no, that doesn't look good. But basically the point is you can customize and modify to your heart's content. Okay, so there are a number of things you can edit, and this endpoint gives you that ability, right? So here is bot ID, approved domain, so the domain which I mentioned, and the theme config, which I think is these settings. Okay, so I will test them. I haven't really tried it before, but yeah, I think here there's an option for getting plugin. So let's first get, so you can see, right? So what I'll do is I'll save this, save it, right? So let me just put bb.dev. That is my blog website. I think it needs HTTPS. Save it. Plugin updated successfully, and plugin updated successfully, right? So if you just have like some JavaScript code, you can really just copy and paste this, no issues. But let me go back to this plugin bot ID. So it's get plugin, right? So I'll just make the title get plugin, paste it. Over here is the bot ID 1723, and let's see what information do we get, right? Okay, so as you can see, we have the theme configuration, right? So we have the primary color, which I had set it. So let me just display both windows so you can see. So as you can see, the primary color is this one. Then there's the border color, right? Border color, I think is this background here. Then there is the font size, font family, sent, box message. So all these are configurable, and you can even confirm if it's actually this color. So the primary color should be this. If I go here and search it, it should actually see it's the same color. So you can make your own configuration via the API, and it will work. So what I'll do is I'll copy this, because there is an option of creating your own plugin, right? So you can add a plugin, basically create a plugin. And then what I'll do is add a new request. I can even duplicate this. And then the title will be create plugin. Okay, I don't know why I didn't identify the URL, but post, and in the body we want it to be, of course, a JSON, like that, right? So the fields which are required: ID, bot ID, I think it's more or less bot ID, approved domain. Okay, so I'll do this. Approved domain, bot ID. ID, I think this should be generated automatically. Same with date created, it should be generated automatically, right? So I'll open this tab here, which I had closed earlier, and choose a different color. Okay, so I'll say this time I just want white. Okay, and then copy it. Oh, let me find something more reasonable. So I'll use blue. Okay, like that. Copy it. So as you can see here, it is brown, right? So I will just change it to that color, and then I will send. Method not allowed. Let's see. Put. Okay, it should be a put request. So let me put it. Okay, so when I refresh this page, I got settings, customize bot for your website. Now the primary color has changed, so it is no longer brown, it is blue, and it is the color we had selected here. So yeah, it does give you some flexibility. Obviously it's easier to use this, but you know, as a developer, if you want to make something truly custom, you can also get here. Okay, and you can also delete a plugin. So what I'll do is I'll just create a new request, add request, delete plugin, and it's going to be the same URL, plugin bot ID. Then it's going to be a delete method, and just like that. So if I deleted website plugin deleted successfully, if I refresh, then it should go back to the default one. Okay, so yeah, it's back to the default display which you usually have. Awesome. So we can go to the next endpoint, which is get plugin and authenticated. So I think this allows you to get a plugin without authentication. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this curl request, because we are already, no, actually let me just make a request here. So get plugin, I don't want to get the plugin, and then here on the auth I'll just say no authentication, right? And plugin bot ID unauthenticated, unauthenticated, so just like that. Oh, okay, so I need to be in the same domain to access this, right? So let me change this URL, save it. So I'll do this http 127.0.0.1. Let's see if it will allow this. Okay, it did. So let me call it again. Yeah, okay, so my IP address is not allowed to access this plugin. Fair enough. How about if I am actually authenticated? Will it allow? No, it won't. So you have to be in the same, you have to be in the whitelist. Actually, why don't I do this? Let me add this IP address and see if it will allow me, right? So paste, save, and then if I send, Awesome. So I do actually have access to my theme configuration. So I don't even need to be authenticated and it will work. So let me title this get plugin unauthenticated. Okay, like that. Awesome. So we can go to the next plugin, which is plugin conversation. Curious to see what this does. So let me just add the request. Plugin conversation, like that. And then, okay, so plugin conversation, then the bot ID. So let me just add conversation, then the bot ID, and see method not allowed should be post. Oh, okay. So I have to fill in the body. There is some issues in the backend, but let me try filling the data at once. JSON, so I'll just do this. So chat ID, let me get something, yeah, from here, the chat ID. Okay, just copy this chat ID. String, I'll be like hi, and message type, it will be a text, I think. So if I make the request, okay, so it does provide. I'm not entirely sure what's the purpose of this, but I think it's plugins for specific conversations. All right. So that's about the plugin conversation. So the next requests actually we can divide them into two. They are the middleware API auth and the data variable. So I think I might make a separate video for this, but in a nutshell, the middleware API is basically for connecting with external applications. So like an example, uh, you made a WhatsApp bot and people are communicating with it, and at the end you want, or at when the user is at a specific intent, you want to perhaps send a receipt. Okay, so usually you'd create like a webhook, right? But an alternative method is that you just use this middleware, and you can actually provide some authentication. Okay, so you could provide your URL and your API key, and Sarufi will handle the rest for you. So it will just call there and then send the data, and then it will receive it, and flawlessly just provide the receipt or the invoice to your user. So it's kind of in detail. I will make a separate video for this, but in a nutshell, it's basically just connecting to external uh, applications. This also goes for the data variables. Overall, I hope you guys benefited from this session. If you have any question, uh, kindly reach out to me. I will export this to as I'll export all these collections and I'll place them in GitHub, so you will be able to give it a try. So in case you can just get these collections and use them in your Postman. If you have Postman, or if you don't have Postman, you can just see how we used all these various endpoints, and hopefully it makes a few things clear. If you have any questions, kindly reach out to me at avicina@sarufi.io. You can also check me on Twitter, avbdev. And we also have like a WhatsApp group where you can ask any question. There are many people there. You can we can help you, or you can even ask in the comments. We are here to help you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening to this. This should be flows. Fetch flows. Yeah, so thank you very much. I hope you all have a great weekend.